Hi, everyone. You've landed at Aquascaping on the Fly Living Art Creations. I'm your host and content creator, Anthony. Welcome to the channel. As you can see, I am channeling my inner Star Trek love. I am a Trekkie. I was raised a Trekkie. And if you want to know, you're going to inadvertently, someone's going to ask this question because Star Trek is a massive influence on culture. Which of the series is my favorite? Well, of course, I love the original, but my absolute favorite is Voyager. Yes, Catherine Janeway, her crew, the Maquis. Oh my God, they ruled. Okay, so I loved it. So today, this is using my Borg technology to keep my microphone hopefully in a place where I won't bump into it and it won't give you that annoying feedback that I hate whenever I watch one of my videos, because it's always giving like a banging noise on there. So we may hear some residual noise from the landscapers outside. We're just gonna roll with it. You know, that's how we roll on here. We're just gonna do it. Now, since I introduced the spiritual side in the channel, and this is going back just not even a month yet, I've received a lot of positive comments about it. And I'm going to coin also a new term for the hobby. Not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle hobby. That's the new verbiage I want to start using because that's what this is. And I've been getting a lot of literature placed in front of me about how therapeutic this lifestyle hobby can be, especially on children and adults that have any type of a condition to where working at something a very slow pace like it is, whether you're doing a terrarium or an aquascape. And you all know how, those of you who have tanks, you love to come home and you love to see what's going on with your tank, and you know how relaxing it is. It's the same way for people that may have any type of a medical condition, that they can go to an immediate relaxed state of being. And I love that. So I'm going to try and get more information about it, about the conditions that it does affect in a very positive way. Because I want us to start thinking about that, not just as, hey, this is fish keeping or planted tanks or putting together this elaborate, expensive build. No, let's take it from a different aspect. This is therapy. This is therapy for ourselves. This helps heal our soul because when you think about all the demands on your time in the world outside, when you come inside, this is your sanctuary, and this helps make that your sanctuary. So that's kind of my theme going forward from now on, and I hope I keep that a constant. I hope I don't, lose track of it. But as far as I've had some comments about my process, and I've been very open about, a lot of times I'll get a message, I'll get like what I call a download, I'll get like a theme. So those of you who don't know, and I haven't always explained this in detail, I get bits and pieces of it in some of the videos. And I thought, okay, today is a good day to kind of give you this overall picture. So aquascaping came into my life just a few months ago, and I was within a couple of hours watching videos on YouTube. I was just like drawn to it. I was actually remodeling my kitchen, and I was just excited because I had just put electricity in here to put the television on the wall. And to get a ceiling fan up, because this place never had a ceiling fan. There was no wiring for one. So I had to kind of like tear out part of the ceiling. And I did it at the same time I was doing my kitchen. Well, I'm sitting in the kitchen and there's a bar in front of the kitchen. So you can't see what's going on the television because I was sitting on the floor. And I heard someone talk about a planted tank, low tech, no CO2, fish and shrimp, plants. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, when I was a child and I had an aquarium, it was that fluorescent, multicolored gravel. The water would smell all the time. I had guppies. They were constantly having babies and eating their babies. And it just, and it had plastic plants with the little chest, the treasure chest that the bubbles would come out of. And that was it. And I'm thinking, how do you put dirt in a tank and the water's not cloudy all the time? So I started paying attention. I got up from what I was doing and I started watching. Oh God. You know what happens? I was hooked at that point forward. I was hooked. So I know that, okay, so I'm cheap. Just gonna say it. I'm a flight attendant. When I'm home, I don't subscribe to any channel service. So a lot of my news and programming comes off YouTube. And I know that the video was put in front of me for a reason, because it speaks to so many parts of my ingrained personality. And because this lifestyle hobby is not just about growing plants, keeping fish. It's doing an ecological setup, a biosphere inside your home where you want to mimic the best conditions you can for your inhabitants, being your plants, your shrimp, and your fish. And what I love about that is it can be challenging. It can be chemistry. It can have math in it. It has how you're going to do your layout, the quadrants. Your artistic side comes out, because what are you going to do? How are you going to design it? What elements are you going to put into it? Are they going to conflict? Are they going to be in harmony? There's so many really cool aspects to the lifestyle hobby that it's fascinating for a multitude of people out there, no matter what your age is. The big thing that hits a lot of people, though, is the budget. And I'm not even, you all know what I'm talking about. You can go to other channels where you see $1,200. But anyway, basically, you're going to see anything from an $800 up to a $2,000 build. And on my channel, you're going to see a $200 build, because I get my tanks on sale. I forage for my rocks and my hardscape, and I get my plants on sale. So I kind of like try to do everything I can, and I do a lot of my own DIY. So I try to build as much as possible. So I like it because it's a hands-on. It's very hands-on, and I'm trying to create something. I don't skimp. The artist in me does not skimp. I get my vision across. I'm just doing it on a budget. And the most I've spent so far is just over $200. And it's only because I added more plants to Blackfish. Blackfish is the one that's got supposed to do that. It's a 20-gallon long. And it's my political piece, because Blackfish, of course, is a documentary about SeaWorld and their mistreatment of these majestic animals that they keep in their parks, basically as slaves. That's just my take on it. And they tried to do this PR stunt where they're out saving sea turtles out in the wild while they're still keeping these majestic animals in these little tiny pods at night. And most of the day, just to have them come out and do tricks. Okay, so that's me on my soapbox. All right, here's me stepping off my soapbox. But so the comments I've had are about the process. So let me kind of give you I'll back up just a little bit before that. I have always been, the first time I realized I was carrying conversations on with God, was 5 years old. And I thought that was normal. Well, I was raised in a household where that was not normal. And you were taught to keep your mouth shut. So I learned at a very early age to keep my mouth shut. And you don't talk about stuff like that. And you stay in line, you toe the line, and you just be like everything else. Now, I was not raised in a religious household. Yes, my parents were religious. We never attended any services. I started attending church services when I was a teenager, and my parents had to take me. And so then they started attending because of my reverence for the divine. And I felt that's what I needed at that time, because being different, and you guys know what I'm talking about, when you're different, people pick on you. I was bullied extensively throughout my entire upbringing, relentlessly. It was like an onslaught attack. And so my spirituality is one of the things that saved me, and my love with Mother Nature. Now, I was raised on a farm for part of my life, so I think that's what kind of cemented my love with Mother Nature, because we fed ourselves off of the gardens that we grew. And I was that child that you would see at the corner in a busy intersection in a truck that had produce in it that we were selling. That's what my mother and I did every single Saturday. We would go to a busy intersection and sell out of the multitude of vegetables that we were growing. We had 2 5-acre farms, and whatever we would grow, we'd sell to make extra money. And my mother canned all of our fruits and vegetables. So I always had fresh fruits and vegetables all year round, and there's nothing that tastes like that to this day. Our stuff today is so processed. Anyway, that's another subject. But So I've had a very humble upbringing as far as you appreciate, you don't waste. That's another reason why I like a lot of DIY, and I like my channel focuses on upcycling, is because of that was ingrained with me. Now, flash forward, my spirituality just kind of grew. It grew with me. As I matured, my spirituality started growing and changing to the point now, okay, I hope that's not too loud because they're really right behind me. To the point now where at this stage, I have multiple meditation prayer sessions a day, during the day or night. Like if I wake up from something, I'll go into meditation prayer. And I talk openly with God, Mother Earth, and my angels that I have formed a relationship with for very specific reasons. And when I got into aquascaping, I started doing research on which one of the archangels would handle different aspects of what I was working with, because I wanted my tanks to be a beacon that can show, hey, we can do this on a budget and DIY and as much as possible. And look, we can still have these healthy, clear-watered setups, and we can have these beautiful terrariums where you can you're able to access this lifestyle hobby on an extreme budget, because that is the one thing that holds a lot of people back. And then I kept getting encouraged from my guides to talk more about my spirituality, that there is a population out there that wants to hear this information and they want to know how I'm inspired. So I'm going to give you a very real world experience. This happened yesterday. So the day prior to that, I was in training for work for 2 days to get recertified. Those of you who don't know, I'm a flight attendant. That's why my channel is called Aquascaping on the Fly, because I'm flying around. And when I'm on layovers, I try to do scavenger hunts where I pick up stuff, bring it back, and use it in the hobby. That's one of the things I love. And then I love to give a shout out to the city. So I'd been in training for 2 days. It's very stressful to get recertified. And I woke up on the day after that, and I slept in a little bit too late. But I had this idea just popped in my head. Hey, why don't I go out into Mother Nature today and just reconnect? Okay. And for me, reconnecting means when I go out in like a trail system or someplace in nature, it feeds my soul. That's just the easiest way to say it. And those of you who do the same thing, you'll know what I'm talking about. You go out and you feel the sun. It gives you the energy. You feel the energy of the earth. You listen to the birds. You take in your surroundings, and it's also like its own form of therapy as well. At least it is for me. So I picked a new trail that I had not been to that I pulled up online that was about 15 to 20 minutes away from where I live. And so I have a bag I gather that has like plastic bags and a fork and a little knife and just some things in it that I can get samples of things and bring it back. So I had my bag out, and the parking lot was amazing. It was beautiful. It was nice, well done. It was a very professional area. There was 2 awesome dog parks right at the entrance. One that had water fountains that shot up out of the ground, like you'd see for children, but these are for dogs, and dogs are just running around playing in the water. That was amazing. I loved it. And then they had 2 different paddocks where you could just go and sit in the shade and let your dogs just run around. And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. When I can get a dog again, I would love to bring them here. I just was having a great time just walking around. Now there was a stream running through there, but it was the incline was so steep, I was not going to be able to get down in there. I mean, and I was really high up, like 2 flights of stairs too high to get down to it. So I'm just walking the trail system. And when I'm walking the trail system, I do pay attention to my intuition. My intuition always guides me. It always has. And I see off to where I'm in a section where I could go left, right, or forward. It's like 3 areas I can go. And I thought, I feel like I want to go left. So I go left, and I end up walking through a dried out stream that led to the creek that I couldn't get into. I didn't find anything in there. I did find some beautiful selections of driftwood, but they were too far gone. They were too rotted, so I couldn't use anything like that. So I'm getting out, and I'm walking through the meadow area, and I'm trying not to get any of the weeds attached to the clothes I'm wearing. And I'm weaving in and out. I'm seeing all kinds of cool things that you could use. Like I found this amazing, very light colored bark. It's like 2 inches thick that had came off of this majestic tree that had died. And I thought, oh, wow, that bark could be beautiful in something, not an aquarium, but it could be a backdrop for something. I'm just like, oh my God, it's really, really pretty. And I thought, okay, I'll keep that in mind because that's usually what I do. I log the idea in. So I keep walking out. And then I come out to another mass open area where it's just grass, natural grass. I thought it was just beautiful. The sun was shining right there. I had just came out of the trees. And I was like, all right, let me walk through there. So I'm walking through there. And you know how when you're walking out in nature, you can feel the energy of the sun. So I could feel it. And I was like in a really great mood. And I was feeling very like Zen. And I just kept walking. And I came to this one area. And there was like a mound of earth that was up higher, almost like a bridge kind of. And I thought, well, let me walk over this. So I'm walking over it, and then it's a slope on both sides. And I thought, oh, maybe this is when there's so much water here that this is where you can still cross because it's still connected to the creek. It's just there's no water in it right now. And I walk around, and in the background, I see these really big, massive, high-end, $1 million houses. So they back up to a section of this park. And I thought, oh, I've always found the best stuff when you go behind houses like that, because sometimes people throw stuff over their back fence instead of taking it out to a landfill. So I thought, oh, I'm going over there. So I'm making my way to the first house at the corner, which would be at the corner of where the neighborhood starts. And then they have these massive tall fences. So I can't see over the fence. And I'm 6'3", so these must be 8-foot fences. Before I get there, there's a little canopy of trees that are overhanging to the ground. And I'm looking through there and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. Let me just divert off into there for a little bit. So I go further left and I happened upon a little section with moss growing everywhere. I thought, oh, okay, well, let me get some samples of moss. So I get my moss samples, I come back out. I've passed that first house. I'm rounding the corner and I see a bog pond. A legit bog pond, meaning it's not attached to another body of water. It's water that's always there. And it's got some kind of funky algae growing on top of it. I thought, oh, okay, I'm scared of snakes. I don't have my wader boots on. I just have my rubber shoes on that I wear. I thought, okay, I got to get through there. Now, it's a thicket of brush all around it. There's no way I can get into it without, climbing through. So I climb my way through. I get to the muddy bank, and I can see that the bank is all waterlogged. And I take a stick, because I'm terrified of snakes. I take a stick, I kind of stir the water up a little bit, and I see that this plant floats. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, so I got to get this. So I'm getting the stick, and then I'm dopping it into my little container that I keep with me. And I put a little water in there with it. I'm okay, all right, I'm going to get this. And then I put it in a Ziploc bag, because you can't trust the container. It's an old hummus container, those of you who know what I'm talking about. They're super thin, but the lid does snap on, but it doesn't hold water. So it's inside a Ziploc. So I put that in there, I got it in my bag, I keep walking on past the houses. Oh, guess what? The next house over had a drainage ditch coming out of it. Now, those of you who've watched my channel before, you know what I always say, drainage ditches are your best friend. So I hightail it over to that drainage ditch. I'm like, I'm going to check this out. I was amazed at what I found. Now, just like all good stories, there's a twist. When I did my meditation in the parking lot, I specifically was talking to Mother Nature. And I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for a walking stick, and Mother Nature knows it. And I keep telling her, please guide me in the direction if there's something suitable out here so I can make my own walking stick, because I think I need one. And then also, plus it's also cool. And I said, I'm thinking about the Rainbow Series tanks. That's going to be the next build I work on. And I know the collection is based on the colors of the rainbow. Yes, because I came up with that. But what's going to be the cohesive piece to the build? Like, what's going to be the one thing that's going to tie them all together other than the fact that they're colors of the rainbow? And so I've been having a hard time coming up with this concept. Like, when I think on my Trinity series. Yes, those of you who get it now, think about it. Holy Trinity, Trinity series. One of the tanks is called Garden of Eden. Yeah, that's how spirit runs through me now. You've got to kind of connect the dots. In the rainbow, I'm like, okay, I got to have something that's cohesive. And I actually was talking about this and meditating. And, if I can find something, maybe that would be something I could use in all the builds, that would be the one piece that would tie them all together. I said, I'd love to find some gravel that could work in each one of the 5 tanks. That's my thought. I get to the drainage ditch, and what do you think I found? Specialty gravel, the kind of rocks that have been pearlized. They're the rocks that all have a shine to them, like the kind you would buy like in Michael's or maybe even Hobby Lobby, that are the high-end pebbles that you use very sparingly because they're super expensive. And I think a lot of them are actually quartz, and they've been honed and polished. So they're all, I'm bizarre. The only way I can see what they are is I see this one typical one that's very polished and it's rounded. And I see it at the base of where I'm standing. And so what I do, squat down, put my gloves on, start digging in the soil around there, and am finding all the ones I can. I ended up scooting up the embankment towards the opening of the drain, and it looks like someone had just poured it down their drain, an outside drain. I'm not talking about your kitchen drain or something like that. This is something that this house had put in to drain into the back of their lawn, but outside the fence. And you can see where it started, and it just, with more water has rushed out through there, it's scattered them. And some of them were buried in the soil. So I'm digging all these up. I end up coming back with 5 quart-sized bags of these pebbles. And so when I started washing them, so last night I started washing them, and because they're all covered in mud, and they look disgusting. I didn't show that on camera to you guys because I'm like, okay, you don't need to see me washing mud off rocks. But when I started seeing the first ones uncovered, I was in shock. They're all different colors. I mean, they go from white to black and all the colors in between. They're all polished. They all have a sheen to them. So they will sparkle under water, which is the important thing. And that is how we're going to tie the tanks together in the Rainbow series. That is how my intuition plays in with my nature walks. Because I always say this, every build starts with a nature walk. And the Rainbow series did not. The Rainbow series came to my mind because I had this idea. Did I have it or was it spirit? I don't know. At this point, we don't know. Because I was thinking to show homage to Mother Earth, to do a series of tanks called the Rainbow, because I always love it how when there's, after the rain, you see a beautiful, majestic rainbow across the sky. And I thought, wouldn't it be beautiful to have 6 tanks, each one with the color of the rainbow? But then I kind of switched it up a little bit. I didn't have room for all 6. I had room for 5. And that's when I had a third eye vision. And those of you who do not know what that is, it's when you have your eyes closed and you see a 3D image inside your head. And so I had this image in my head of a rhombus. I did not know what a rhombus was. I Googled it. A rhombus is when you take 2 triangles that are opposing each other. So basically, one coming down like this to a point, and the next one is a point going flaring out. At the intersection of where these 2 just barely intersect, they form a diamond in the very center. That is called a rhombus. So you have a triangle, triangle, diamond. And Google it and see what it says about it on a spiritual nature. That tells you how this works in my life, because it's all about spirituality and it's all about reverence to the divine and to Mother Nature and trying to show your appreciation. So part of my job is to get my message out because there's people out there that I have been told that are going to need this message. So I'm going to try and keep inspiring you to tap into your inner intuition, your inner artist, your inner whatever, and to look for guidance inside you, because you have that power. We all have that power. Some of us just don't know it. Sometimes you get a feeling about something, and sometimes it protects you from a situation. Sometimes if you're like me, sometimes I've ignored it and done just the opposite, and I suffer the consequences. And we could have 10 hours of video about how I have not paid attention to my intuition and how many years it took me to get out of that situation because I didn't. So now I hope to be a lot wiser. And when I get something that's intuition related, I pay attention to it and I act on it. So part of my mission is to get this message out to you guys. And I hope this finds resonance with some of you out there. I know based on your comments about how I get inspired and how I use my spirituality will resonate with a lot of you out there, because you are asking questions about it. I don't have that channel where we just wake up one day and it's on our agenda to build XYZ tank. No, it all starts from an intuition or a third eye vision. It all starts with spirituality. So that's when I say I build. When I build, I'm building with intent. Intent to showcase the power of the world around us and how it can affect us in a very positive way. Because I like the fact that I've had so many of you guys comment about my energy. My energy is natural. I don't drink coffee. This is not fake. I'm just like this at work. Matter of fact, it's worse at work. At work, I may have a 5 a.m. flight. I've got passengers who want to go to sleep. I'm all up and excited. I'm ready to go. So I have to tone it down. But I use my intuition at work because it helps me communicate better with my passengers. Because, I want to make sure my passengers, just like I welcome you guys into a video, into my home. When I'm at work, that plane is my home. And I'm welcoming my passengers in. And I want them to have the best experience possible. And I know that's not the norm. I know that you guys all know flight attendants. You've been on flights where they barely paid any attention to you. That is not me. When I'm out there, that aisle in the plane is my comedy stage. I rule out there. I love making fun of my passengers. It is easy pickings. I mean, I have so much fun doing it. And if you could see the interaction I receive back, the love I receive back from my passengers, it is 1,000-fold, and it's just magical. I rarely ever have a bad flight because I have so much fun. I just love it. And I've even, I'm going to tell, this little snippet that I was not planning on telling you. I'm going to tell you a little story. I usually shy away from talking about things like this because I don't want to out anyone or anything like that. But I had a flight where I was in my element. I was having really fun, making fun of my passengers. And when I see passengers coming down the aisle, sometimes I give everyone a nickname. So I saw this really well-dressed woman that had a beautiful outfit on. And you don't see that these days. Most people show up in your freaking pajamas and your onesies, and you think that's an appropriate attire. I'm sorry. I don't care what female you think you are and how hot you think you are. Wearing that onesie makes you look awful. So think about your clothing choices, and don't come on my plane when you're wearing any clothes and say, I'm cold. Okay. Get something out of your freaking luggage and deal with it. All right, so that's my bitching session. So as she's coming down the aisle, she's got this beautiful smile on, and I thought, gosh, she looks familiar. But she's sitting in my section. I'm in the back. So she comes up to me, and I notice she's carrying 2 bags. They each match her outfit, but one's plaid and one's striped. Now, you guys know you don't do that, okay? So when she comes up to me, I kind of pause, because there's a pause in the passengers. I pause passengers every once in a while. And I look at her and I go like this. So what? 2 bags because you had to leave really fast and you knew you needed both bags, and you said, what the heck? I'm just going to take both. They both match what I'm wearing. I don't care. She starts busting out laughing. She said, basically, you just hit it 100% on the nail on the head. I didn't know about this trip until the last minute. I'm traveling with my husband. I needed both of these bags, and so I just brought them. And I said, I have a nickname for you now. You're called 2 bags. She was so amazing. She just went with it. She just went with it. Now, what I didn't realize, she was actually going to be sitting 2 rows from where I was standing in the back of the plane. And so she was watching me the whole time. And she was paying attention to what I was saying to other passengers. Like, when you guys dress alike, oh my God, I love that. I love it when couples dress alike. It's hysterical. I love to make fun of couples. And I can always sniff out newlyweds. It's a gift. So we've done service. Now I'm doing service. It's up at the forward section of the plane. And then the flight attendants in the back section did the back section. So I didn't get to wait on her. I didn't get to interact with her after that. But then I do trash service. And she's still smiling, you know, whatever. So I'm in the back and I'm chit-chatting with my crew. You know, that's how we do. And we're gossiping. And she gets up and I tell my coworker, I said, oh, here comes 2 bags. Because I've told everyone the story about, you know, she had 2 bags. So here comes 2 bags. I guess she's coming to the lavatory. So I open the lavatory door for her and she goes inside. And my coworker said, Anthony, do you not realize who that is? And I said, no, who? Think 60 Minutes. And I said, okay. She goes, no, think about it. I was like, I don't watch. I said, I know 60 Minutes, the show. Yeah, it's been around forever. She goes, yeah, that's Jane Pauley. And I was like, oh my God. I totally called out Jane Pauley. She goes, yeah, that's the woman that interviews serial killers for a living. And she does it very, very well. Okay, it's important that you get that part. She comes out of the lavatory. Now that I know who she is, I've really jumped right on her. I said, whoa, wait. Because she was going to go to us. I said, no, you got to wait. You got to tell me. What? And I said, what are you doing sitting back here in my cabin? So she goes, oh, I told you I'm here on this business trip with my husband. And it's the last minute. So we weren't able to get, you know, first class tickets. And I said, well, I'm so glad you're back here. Well, that just opened her up. She said, I watched you and I watched passengers having so much fun with you. And she said, your energy, you have a way of, she did this whole analogy, making them feel really good. You make them feel at home. Sometimes traveling can be stressful and you just make it this beautiful experience. And she just goes on and on and on. And then she, you know, thanks us and takes her seat. And so my coworker goes, see, that's the person that can read a serial killer. And she just read you. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of scary. She read me like that. She really hit on all the points. So what I love about that is that I didn't know who she was, but I treated her just like everybody else. And I made fun of her just like everybody else. And then it flipped around to where it was really a beautiful experience. And it's a story that I love to tell. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of celebrities. Most of them are just amazing, everyday people that are very, very sweet and will, you know, share a hello with you. We always try to make sure that they're not bothered and that when they fly commercial, no crowds come up there and, you know, like attack them or whatever. So I've been fortunate to meet a lot of incredible celebrities, and that's always fun. But just as fun is meeting everyday passengers that share something in their life. And there's not a flight that goes by that I don't have someone that's able to get up and come to me with a story about how I made them feel good or made them laugh, or the reason why they're flying is a funeral, but I brought levity and joy and I welcome them into my home. And so I hope you guys get the same feeling. So if you're so inclined, please remember, I love my comments. If you love the channel and you want to see more of it, consider liking and subscribing. When you do the trifecta, which is all 3, that really helps the algorithm get me out there, which gets me to my next point. The algorithm has been struggling with my channel because, like all new channels, we all struggle getting an audience. I had my first comment this week from a brand new subscriber that said, I'm so thankful that the algorithm sent your video to me because it's exactly what she needed to see. And that means more to me than anything else. More to me than anything else. I had one commenter, his initial is J, and I told him I was going to give him a shout out. He was making fun of the fact, and in a lot of my videos, you'll see me sitting down, crisscross applesauce, okay? It's all about comfort. I've stopped trying to be professional and, oh yeah, my videos are so amazing, blah, 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 blah. No, I like to show you guys realism. You'll see videos that I do where I don't even cut out the opening if I don't like it and I start laughing and then I just keep going. You'll see that on my videos. Because it's realism. I'm not trying to be fake here. And he said it was hard to take me seriously because of the way I was sitting until he listened, he said almost all the way through the entire video, and it changed his mind because there's content here. I'm just not a fluff that's, being crazy up in here. I actually have a point I want to get across. Unlike a video like this where I just wing it. And, this is just how we do it. So that's my whole point about how spirit helps guide me, and every build is intentional. So sometimes the build is in my head for months before it actually comes out to play. That's just a little sideline to it. What I want to show you now, though, is how we're going to take my foraging from yesterday and how you can, since I found a water plant, how we can take that and how we can get it to the point of introducing it into the tanks after it is cleaned and quarantined. So I pulled up some information. I want to show you the rocks I'm talking about. So I want you to be able to see I've done the cleaning, but I'm going to show you how I put them in to boil. And I usually let them boil for up to 2 hours to make sure everything gets killed off of them. And then I'll let them dry naturally. And at that point, they're ready. And I want to show you the hardscape that I found because I want you to see the kind of stuff I'm looking for, and because I'm always looking for something that's unusual. So let me change the camera around because I've got all my items that I want you to see right here on the table next to me. I just need to flip it around, get it refocused, turn the lighting on it so I can showcase what I found. And then we'll go off into the kitchen and we'll do the rest of the setup. So if you guys don't want to see all that, love ya. For those of you going to hang around, come on, let's do it. Okay, so I hope you can see everything. Now, the first piece I found when I was talking about that there was a lot of bark, okay, I found this. This is, I think, it has a little bit of fungusy mold on the backside of it. Now, I don't see putting this in an aquascape, but I could definitely see kind of leaving it like it is, maybe stabilizing it. And maybe if I found some bowls, like a terrarium bowl, I could hot glue a bowl to this and it becomes part of a display. I think that could be really cool. Let me turn this up that way to make sure you can see it. Okay, so but look, it's got this great grain going through it. Oh my God, I love it. I think it's really, really gorgeous. I found this as well. Now it has some gnarly like little, okay. Let me move this around. It's got a nice little curve to it. We could put this in an aquascape or we could put this in a terrarium. Here is a little bag of moss that I picked up. Here is the floating water plant I picked up. And I have found that this is called Mosquito Fern, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. And then here is our pebbles. Now there's still some water in here, but I wanted you to see what I'm talking about. These are all glazed. There's a gnat. I kept them in water. I poured some of the water off. But here you can see what I'm talking about. This is what I found in the ditch behind this house. And look, the colors are amazing. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm going to keep them all mixed as far as, like put them all together. And then I think I have enough here to do. I wish I had found more of this. I would have done a tank just on this, but it looks like there's only a few pieces of this type of a rock here. But if you had to go out and buy all this, it would cost you a boatload. I think some of this is actually quartz. So this is just me cleaning it. Oh, I love these. They're so great. And one like this one. Oh, who doesn't love that? Trying to see if there's anything else. I was just amazed when I was cleaning these. I was like, wow. I had no idea it was going to be this beautiful. Oh, this putty color. Oh, that's amazing. So anyway, all right. So I'm going to get set up to put these in a boil to show you how I boil. and how we're going to convert this and sterilize it so that nothing is on it's going to kill anything. And then we're going to put it in some dechlorinated water and set it out at least for a week to make sure it doesn't have anything growing in it before we can release it into our tanks. So let me reposition and then we will get started. Okay, so I'm going to first start with the rock because it's going to take a long time to boil. So I have a special, and I would suggest for you guys, it's going to wreck your pan, whatever pan you're going to be using. Okay, that one's going to be too small. We're going to have to pull out the big one. Now this is a lobster pot, and I found this on Amazon. It's over $100. Of course, you know I didn't pay that for it. I waited till it was on sale. This cost me $17. This has been a lifesaver, and I keep these rubber little oven mats. I put them in there on the bottom so that I can kind of protect the base of the pan, which it doesn't really do that much protection. It does mess up your pan. And then some water in there. It's going to take a lot of water. And this pan is too big. Okay, that'll get me started. I just turn it up on high. All right. Now, I rinsed this out several times, but you look, there's still residual in there, which is just going to happen. But because this is going to boil for 2 hours, I need to put a lot more water in the pot because it will evaporate. And this is just to kill off anything that may be on the rocks. I think the rocks are safe anyway, just with the cleaning, because they have a coating on them. They're polished. So it's not like a rock that something can embed itself into. All right, now I won't start my timer until we hear that boil. So now we're going to do something else. We go straight into okay. You see this? Just regular old hydrogen peroxide. And I bought this at Walmart. I left the label on it. You can see why I love it on here. Okay, so my hydrogen peroxide to water ratio. This has already got some of this chemical in it. This has got chemical hydrogen peroxide. It's 1 part hydrogen peroxide. So 1 part is whatever you have to measure with. I'm using 5 ounce. And then to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 water. So I know that I put my hydrogen peroxide in at 5. I fill my water bottle up to 25. That's 1 to 4. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and empty this into this bowl. It's almost enough, but it's not going to be quite enough. It's nice thing about this at Walmart, these are $1. Other places I've seen them, they're a lot more expensive, but so I usually buy, when I need them, I usually buy a couple of these. I use these also in the terrarium side of the hobby whenever I'm bringing anything in and I want to check just to make sure it's going to be safe to go inside a terrarium. Okay, so I've got it at the, if you guys can see with the water moving around, got it at the 5-ounce level. And then you just go up to 20, 25. Okay. Then I'm just going to give it a shake. I'm going to go ahead and put the whole thing in there. But I also need some dechlorinated water. So hang on while I grab some. Okay, so I have a gallon of dechlorinated water. I keep a 5-gallon jug of water that ironically I found the jug in my trash dumpster. And I use it to keep water in for the tanks. So I treat it immediately so that I can pour it into any one of my tanks just as a top off. And I have bowls that I use only in the hobby for this kind of stuff. So here we have our medicated water. This is going to be the water that we're going to use. And first, it says we can rinse it. Now, I'm kind of concerned. Again, here is the container. I'm going to go ahead and open the Ziploc part up. Oh, there is water, so it did leak out. I kind of thought it would. So guess what? Let's take another precaution. And here is another strainer that I use for the hobby. I'm just going to take this. You guys, shot there. Okay, so I've got it sitting in the sink. Here's the liquid part that came out. There are a couple of plants in there. Now there's nothing left in this bag. I won't reuse this bag. Okay. Oh, look at this. See that? So mosquito fern. I think that's what it's called, mosquito fern. So I'm just going to pull these little, well, hang on. We're going to rinse. I love how this looks. I'm going to have to go back and get more. I only had one container with me, but it seemed to be fine. I mean, it was left overnight like this. I like this better than the, oh, what's the other one? Okay, there's just some debris. Now all I'm going to do is rinse this. I want it to get enough of the dirt to follow down through there. I don't think I've ever seen this on any other channel as far as a floater. So when I saw it, I was like, wow. I thought maybe it was like it could be poisonous or something because I'd never seen it anywhere else. And then I looked it up, and it's, if you look up on the web, if you're in the North America area and you look up on, you can pull up what types of plants, floater plants that you have that are, native. And this is one of them. Now, it can be invasive, so, you have to be careful with it. All right, we're going to get a little more aggressive here. All right, so, okay, this is just dirt. There's nothing in there I want. But I do want to pull out anything that I don't want to keep in there. So let's put that on a paper towel. So if we can pull any debris out of there, that helps us. Here, maybe it'd be easier to pull. Yeah. Oh, this is way easier. Actually, this is just leaves. That's all that is. If we can get them out, then we'll be able to see better what we have in there. I'm just looking at the big stuff out. The little stuff, once we dilute it in more water, hopefully it'll be something we can pull out individually. But anything that's larger, if we can get it out now, it would help. The growth rate is supposed to be really high on this, and the only thing they talk about is if you let it go unchecked, it can cover the entire surface and then, of course, block out the light coming into your aquarium. So that's why you have to just stay on top of it. And I don't know if this will be a food source for anybody in the tanks. Okay, I think that is going to be good enough. Okay, I need my phone so we can set a timer. It did say with a plant this small that you only want to do it for 5 minutes in your hydrogen peroxide bath. Now this does better with high, I think this one said high lighting. So I have growth tubs underneath my studio tabletop that the lights stay on a lot longer, and it's a very bright intensity for my terrarium plants that are growing in tubs. I think I might just put this underneath them, and we'll see how it does. If it's too much intense lighting and and they like fry or something, I can always go get another sample now that I know where this is. And so far, of all the places I've gone to, this is the only body of water that I have seen this. Interesting, there's lots of roots in there. All right. So all we'll do is wait. And it just said I need 3 inches of water. So we can do that. And this already has fertilizer in it. The water I'm going to be using has already got fertilizer in it. So let's take the opportunity, see if we can pull out some of the chunky pieces. Okay. Much time? 1:40. And now once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the moss. Okay, cut it just a little short. Because I don't need this water, and I want to keep this in as small of a footprint as possible, like what you see here. So now technically the hydrogen peroxide should have killed any hitchhiker that may have been on board. So basically what you're doing at this step, you're rinsing off any of the hydrogen peroxide that's left. And by the way, this is what I do when I bring a plant in on the terrarium side, even if I buy it at like Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot. I do this to it because you never know what comes in. I take it out, wash it all off, wash all the roots off, and just make sure that I'm not bringing anything in that's going to contaminate. Because you'll get a lot of gnats that way. And once you get a gnat in, it's very, very hard to get rid of them. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now this is now ready to go under a grow light, and we see how it develops over maybe the next 7 to 10 days. So we'll just repeat the same process with putting together a new batch for the moss I gathered. One of the times I was shaking this up and I forgot to close this lid. Yeah, you can guess what happened. Okay, this is going to be a little different because I know I've got some isopods in here. So we don't want to kill them. So I'm going to try and I need some paper. You guys don't ever throw anything away because you always use it. Okay, you guys recognize this stuff, right? All your Amazon packages come wrapped with this paper in it. So I use this, so when I'm going to make a mess, it can go on the paper first, and then I can just throw the paper away. All right, so we're going to want to, let's turn this a little bit here. Can you see? Yes. Okay. Let's push that back a little bit. All right. Now I put these in. They just layered on top of each other. All right, so I'm looking for my roly-polies. Now, I did have this bag open, so it's possible they escaped. Where are they? That's spider. You're not allowed. It's easier to pull out any twigs before it gets wet, because then it just becomes embedded. So there's like any dead grass or whatever in there that you don't want in there. Just better to pull it out now. Aha, there's one. Yay! Just go right there. Oh, here's one. Yay! Okay, it's a bunch of ants. You don't want them. Yeah. Because then we'll have ants all in the kitchen. Okay, you two, quit it. Okay, I'm gonna have to give you guys a container that's escape proof or whatever. This is, okay, I'm making it too easy on you. Okay, here, let's do this. Yeah, I'm making it way too easy. Take out the paper towel. Now they're gonna go into a terrarium. They'll be part of my little cleanup crew, which is what they do in nature. Once I get the moss separated, cleaned, it'll go into the same terrarium. So they'll be in the same area where they were in. So many ants. Oop, here's another one. Yay! Okay, so it sounds like the boiling is underway. Oh, ants, no. Now, I know I had more isopods than 3. Yep, there you are. There's 4. Okay. Yeehaw! Turn it down a little bit. Start my timer. Okay. Oh. And my starting timer, I just started a 2:05 timer, so that means this can sit in here for 5 minutes. It is not uncommon to see it foam like this. Remember, this is hydrogen peroxide. And now once this has had its little 5-minute bath, we'll just rinse it off. And I have a little plate I can keep it on because I'm going to use it. Now the hobby is so messy, so you can see I'm using like 3 layers here. I've got a towel down that I use in the hobby. So I've always tried to find, like, you know, I go to Goodwill a lot, I go to thrift stores. I'm always looking for inexpensive towels, and you just can't find them. So I just end up keeping my towels that become destroyed from the hobby, and they become my hobby towels. And then I'm using a secondary layer. This is the paper, so I know I can just toss this out. Okay, you guys see what I'm talking about? Look how easy that is. And then I take the towel out and just shake it outside. Okay, now they're really having a hard time because they're upside down, so. Okay, this still has 2 minutes. Let me get my little isopods in their terrarium they're going to go into, and I'll be right back. Okay, cool. The isopods have their new home. Let's start rinsing this off, and we're going to be super easy with this because I like to keep as much dirt with it that I can. But because I layered it in here, inadvertently I'm going to mess it up. It's just going to happen. Yeah. Okay, so here's my second attempt at pulling out. Now, there are recipes out there to use bleach. I don't feel the need to use something that harsh. I'm much more comfortable using the hydrogen peroxide. To be honest, I have used some of my moss straight out of nature, straight into a terrarium. This is just a good precaution because I have been inundated before with gnats. And once you get gnats in your home and you've got water around, you guys know it's almost impossible. That's why I have three bug zappers going at the same time, 24/7, to get anything that's decided to invade. Just get it out of there as soon as possible. Because I do a lot of experimental terrariums where I want open concept instead of closed, but I'm still using terrarium plants, and that's where gnats like to just go crazy. And they're also in the ones where they're enclosed. You know, it's a closed terrarium, and they got in there, and then they just keep breeding like crazy. You can't get rid of them. And for those of you who do the terrariums, and you've seen, if you look at any of my videos, I do a lot of upcycling with vintage glass. The inexpensive way to put a lid on a container that doesn't have one is to buy plastic dinnerware, like salad plates and dinner plates. I use those as lids, and they're very effective. I was using saran wrap for a while, and that just got to be a big old mess. But yeah, I use plates now. I just buy a set. I buy the cheapest I could find online. Usually on Amazon, you can get really good deals on a bulk, like 200 or something. And then that way, when I give a terrarium away, because I give a lot of my terrariums away, I'm not investing in a lid for that person that's doesn't cost me more than a few cents. All right, last piece. Now, this is still incredibly dangerous as far as it getting infected with gnats because it's wet. It's something from them to lay their eggs on immediately. I'm kind of weird. Sometimes I'll put this, I'll put it in the microwave. I don't microwave it. I'll put it in the microwave just until it has a chance to like dry a little bit. That way I know it's protected. I know there's not going to be any gnats inside my microwave. Or I'll put it in the oven. Same thing. I'll just put it in the oven, let it sit in there till I'm ready to use it. And we're going to do that right now. So, voila. It's in the microwave. No gnats going to get in there. Okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. And I was hoping... Okay, I'm going to see if I can give you guys a parting shot at the miracle that's been happening inside Blackfish. The babies in Blackfish have started swimming around. They started doing it yesterday. They normally are completely shy. You never see them move around. But they've been swimming. Okay, there's a juvenile one that just took off. I had two juveniles in here that were left over. Remember, this is the one where I had 20 blue velvets, and they were released into the tank. The water that came in with the tank, with the shipment, was too warm. I knew something was going to happen, and I predicted it. They all died. 17 died within the first 24 hours. They just didn't survive. Now, there had been a live birth, and I thought all the babies were dead until just a week ago when I saw my first set of babies. Here comes one right now. Should be, maybe I don't have it low enough. They love this little section of rock right here. And so now I have 2 of the original juveniles that are alive that I've confirmed. And I don't know how many babies I have. I know I've counted up to 7. Where are they at? Okay, one is sleeping on a rock over there, or foraging on a rock over there. Okay, they're swimming on the other side. So let's do this. See if I hate going freestyle because it, you know. Okay, see that? There is a blue velvet baby just crawling right up that rock. I'm amazed because they are so skittish. Okay, there's another one right there. You see that? That one has a tint of red. Now, oh, and there's a third. Yay, there they are. And there's a fourth. Oh my God, okay, you saw 4. Okay, so blue velvet is a cross between a blue dream and a cherry red, I believe it is. So you can get babies, there goes one. You can get babies that can start out as a little red in them to clearish to blue. They technically don't get their full color. There's one of my juveniles. They don't get their, and there's another baby. They don't get their full color, and some of them until adulthood. So that's one important thing. I'm so excited you guys got to see that. I'm so thrilled that they're showing up for you. So, oh, there goes another one. I can do this all day. Okay, so thanks for hanging out in the video. I hope you guys have a magical day, and I'll see you on the next upload. Bye-bye.